Agent Romanoff. You miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Film Artsy, your number one source for all things film and movies. Ant-Man and the Wasp was a great movie. It came out last week, and it's time we finally talk about the 10 best moments from that film. But before we begin, if you like Marvel or everything movies, make sure you guys are following us on our new Instagram profile at Film Artsy Official. We just set it up. Get on there, show that you are a huge Marvel fan or that you're a huge movie fan by giving us a follow and interacting with our content over there. Alright, let's get into our list. Number 10, this is kind of an ongoing theme from the very first Ant-Man, and it was carried over in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's just something kind of iconic and funny in these movies that just works so well, and it's the idea of making things small, giant for the sake of fighting. We saw this in the first Ant-Man when Thomas the Tank just tears through an entire house. And in this movie, they kind of played around with that a little bit more. There's some really good moments like the giant Hello Kitty Pez dispenser and the giant salt container blocking the exit for the enemies to run away. The technology is there, and it's just a really funny ongoing theme that's actually, in a sense, kind of cool. It lets you kind of think of Ant-Man and the Wasp's power more abstractly, and it works well here. Number 9 goes to the scene where Jeanette, who is Hank and Hope's wife and mother respectively, takes over and possesses Scott's body to communicate with Hank and Hope. Like, it makes sense, but it's really funny to see Paul Rudd just kind of take on this female character and finally get to reconnect with his long lost husband and daughter, and just the scene's so well crafted, and the mannerisms that Paul Rudd portrays and trying to create this female character is just really well done here, and it actually is one of the funnier scenes in this movie. Number 8 goes to Jimmy Woo, who is the FBI agent, and just his overall character in general. He's actually pretty generic for most of the film, but towards the end his character really kind of pops, and it's really fun that he's so determined to bust Scott, and it leads to a lot of opportunities where it's just funny when he fails and Scott's just lounging around his apartment like nothing's happened. Obviously, one of the best scenes involving Jimmy Woo comes at the end of the movie when he kind of has this interaction when Scott finally gets his tracker taken off, and he has this really funny dialogue with Scott where he's like, "I'll be seeing you soon," and then Scott's like, "Wait, like, are we doing something?" And then they kind of have this really awkward exchange, and it's just the comedic timing between both of these actors was so well done, and it just works really well here. And I don't know why, I want to see more of this character. He's actually pretty big in the comic books, and we'd love to see him come back as kind of a comic relief character because he's just fantastic. Number 7 goes to the awkward comedic timing that is in this film. We see this kind of well-placed comedic timing in a lot of these Marvel movies. We see it a lot in the early Iron Man movies. We saw it in Amazing Spider-Man, but it really works well in Ant-Man. Some of these scenes involve Ant-Man pushing a truck like it's a scooter, or the seagull scene where he's trying to get on an ant and a seagull keeps coming and eating the ant. Just some of these scenes are so over the top, and it's fun to kind of be in the perspective of like a regular passerby who has no idea what's going on. And when you see some of these awkward and perfectly timed scenes, it's just like, what is going on? This is so over the top, and it kind of keeps the film self-aware, and it makes Ant-Man and the Wasp, while it's kind of an interesting and unique and maybe even a weird premise, it works out well here because it acknowledges the fact that it's a little weird, but we're rolling with it, and that's really cool. Number 6 goes to the Baba Yaga scene. It wasn't anything too big, it was just that one character who works for the ex-con kind of making this reference to the fact that it's this folklore character from Slavic storytelling. And it's interesting when he kind of talks about the story at first, but then when Ghost actually appears and he just screams out Baba Yaga, it's just really funny. And if you watched our Easter egg video that went up yesterday, you'd find out that there's actually a deeper backstory to Baba Yaga exists within the Marvel comic book universe, and maybe they're making a fun reference to either something that's going to come in the future or just a cool nod to the comics. Speaking of references to the comic books, we also have to put Egghead being in this movie as a major highlight, because this is a major villain from the Ant-Man comic book series that no one really thought would appear in the MCU. We find out through the backstory that Ghost's father was Elias Starr, who was a scientist who was killed. If you read the comic book series, especially the Ant-Man series that follows Hank Pym during his adventures, one of his major nemeses or rivals is Elias Starr, also known as Egghead, and he has this over-the-top character appearance, but even the translation onto film made his character at least somewhat resemble the comic books. Even if they didn't really extend the forehead as dramatically, it actually works well enough here where the character could have stood on its own. Now, of course, with it being an Ant-Man rival or nemesis, it kind of made sense that Ghost, who is Ant-Man and the Wasp's nemesis in this film, kind of is the daughter or descendant of this character. It just kind of made the comics and the movie tie-in feel a lot more full circle, and we really appreciated that. Number 4 goes to the whole truth serum scene, when Luis is forced to spill everything about what he knows, and he kind of points out that he's seen about the truth serum before, and the bad guy thug is like, this isn't truth serum, that doesn't exist. It's just this really funny and dumb back and forth, and then at the very end, when the guy is injected with the truth serum to reveal that they were criminals all along, he actually admits that it is truth serum, and it does work that way. It's just another one of those returning jokes that kind of keeps coming around. And Ant-Man and the Wasp and the first Ant-Man even were kind of known to have those recurring jokes. And it was nice to see this one that was funny the first time, but almost funnier the second time, get to work its way in, and it was pretty cool. Number 2 has to go to Louise's monologue. The entire cast, by the way, did a great job at syncing up the lip syncing to do his monologue, but the monologue is kind of a staple of the first film, and it's nice to see that it returns back here for just a single monologue and it's not too overdone, but it works really well here. It's actually pretty funny, and it's just used a little bit differently here. It's used exclusively as a joke, which is really nice instead of as a storytelling part, and we really appreciated the fact that they saved this joke for kind of the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, instead of kind of front-loading the film with a bunch of jokes at the beginning. And that was something really cool they did here. And number 1 has to go to the crazy post-credit scenes. There's so much that happens in these 2 post-credit scenes, and what it means for the future of the MCU, especially what it means for the next Avengers movie that just comes out in just under a year. We learn a little bit more about what's really going on in the quantum realm, where Jeanette kind of warns Scott, but also, in a way, informs the entire audience watching that there is time vortexes in the quantum realm. Of course, there was the shock of all of the characters, with the exception of Scott, being turned to dust by Thanos' snap, but what it really shows us is that Scott is now in the quantum realm, a place where we know that time and space is irrelevant, and he wasn't affected by the snap. Now, that could have been because he wasn't a part of the 50% of people that got dusted, but it could also mean that because he's in the quantum realm, time and space don't matter, which means the Infinity Gauntlet wouldn't affect him. We don't know for sure, but we know that the quantum realm is going to play a role in the next film for sure. And we also know that Ghost is aware of the quantum realm. We don't know if Ghost was dusted or not, but at least we know that a couple other people at least know about the quantum realm that could potentially still be alive. Either way, just having a slight bit more information about what happens after Infinity War is kind of nice, and it gives us more of an idea of who's around still and who's not around. And we believe that Marvel's going to continue to build up this hype for the next Avengers movie, even through with this film and with what we'll see out of Captain Marvel, and that's really exciting. But that's it for today. We have more videos where we kind of talk about the connection between Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers 4 you can also check out. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Alright, that's it for today, and we'll see you all next time with a brand new upload.
Hey, it's Gigi Hadid. For more videos like this, click here.
Hi, I'm Cara Delevingne. Please don't forget to subscribe by clicking this button right here. Boop.
Thanks for watching.